This is the definitive end for the pundits, the pollsters, the forecasters, the ivory tower elites who tell us Susan Collins is going to lose by near double digits. Donald Trump doesn't stand a chance and he won't win anything. Trump won Florida. My friends, what you see on your screen is the presidential polling accuracy by state, and it is a historic failure. Nate Silver of 538 said, F you, we did a good job. Okay, to be fair, Nate Silver is a forecaster who's reliant on the polls. But the polls is all broken, sir, in which case I believe your forecasts were garbage. 1 in 10 chance for Trump to win. Sure, fine, I guess Trump might still lose. But I love how they change that, like election day comes and like, actually it's a 1 in 3. Actually, it's kind of a toss-up. Sure, what they'll argue is that there were 10 paths in front of us, and one of them led to a narrow victory for Trump, and that's the path we went down, but Trump still might lose. But take a look at this. In California, they underestimated Biden by 6 points. What? It's California, dude. In Alaska, they underestimated Trump by 22. Absolutely insane. For the U.S., it was a 7.3% average failure. That's incredible. That's absolutely incredible. The media does not understand people, which I don't understand about many of these states. When we look at places like Texas, a 4.7 point error. We have in Nevada, a 3.8, in Colorado, 2.4. But look at this. In New York, an 18.5% failure. In Pennsylvania, a 16% failure. Wow. Because Trump is leading. They were forecasting Pennsylvania for Biden. We'll see. Biden still might flip. Some of these polls might change as they count ballots. North Dakota, look at all of this. This is ridiculous. They were wrong in Nebraska by 12 points. 13 points in Idaho. We heard that the failure rate nationwide was bad. But you got to really look at these states to figure out how bad it really was. Because this includes, they in New Jersey, Washington, Vermont, New Mexico, and California, they underestimated Joe Biden. I think it's fair to point out the media has no idea what they're talking about. Derek Thompson from The Atlantic says, too early to be sure about the exact numbers here, but seems like state polls missed by 5 points on average in 2016 by understating non-college support for the GOP. Then a bunch of pollsters studied the issue and changed their methodologies for 2020 and whiffed by 7 points. I knew it. They made their polls worse. My friends, I'm going to read some more of what he says from Derek. Check this out. Shadi Hamid. Muslims were another minority group where Trump made significant gains. 35% voted for Trump, according to this AP VoteCast survey. That's right. It was white voters who helped the Democrats win. And Latinos and Muslims and Black Americans came out for Donald Trump. Not in the majority, in larger numbers. I'm feeling pretty good. I don't know who's going to win, but I like the idea that the Democrats' narrative about the racist Republicans is fractured, completely failed. They don't get it. They're confused. And I got to say, it's funny watching the ivory elites squirm. There goes on to say, here's the American Association of Public Opinion research report on 2016. Top reasons given for the huge 16 error was underweighing non-college voters, which many said they fixed, and last-minute deciders of which there are supposedly fewer. And then they underestimated that Trump actually was appealing to minority voters. Here's what Derek says. Outstanding questions. 1. Did pollsters make the same GOP undercounting error twice, despite explicitly trying to correct it, or did they make a new exciting error? 2. Why is it so hard to survey Trump voters? 3. Is the problem Trump voters, or is there a deeper rot in polling? It's a deeper rot in media. Our media institutions are dominated by people who are in an ivory tower where they only talk to themselves and they think New York opinion represents this country. They have no idea what's happening on social media, and they don't seem to realize we can share videos with each other. They are wrong. They are in a broken universe where they can't figure out what's happening around them. Now, this may have helped them drum up massive support for a Joe Biden victory, but I believe at this point it's only a matter of time before we see a massive populist wave. Trump was the Model T of populist presidents. But if you think this is where it ends, unless big tech comes in and shuts down social media, we're going to see a change. And that was my fear with a Biden victory. With Joe Biden looking like he's going to win, we'll see what happens. I believe we're dangerously close to the end of politicians for the people. We are going to get the keys to the castle politicians back. The Republican rhinos will gloat and laugh. The media establishment and the social media establishment are going to silence any voice that dare oppose them. Fox News isn't nearly big enough. He says, Derek says, credit where it's due. Zeynep was all over this a week ago. The real catastrophe is that the failure of the polls leaves Americans with no reliable way to understand what we as people think outside of elections, which in turn threatens our ability to make choices or to cohere as a nation. That's true. I bring you now to Paul Krugman, of a Nobel laureate of the New York Times opinion section, who says, the more I look at this election, the less I imagine I understand. Florida was a surprise Trump triumph and also voted to increase the minimum wage to $15. CA is very liberal and voted to let Uber and Lyft keep treating their employees as independent contractors with no benefits. According to Fox Exits, majorities favor a government health care plan and a larger role for government in general. Yet they seem to have voted for Senate Republicans who want to drown government in a bathtub. Racism is Trump's brand, but he outperformed the polls in large part with Hispanic and black votes and Muslim votes. Maybe the summary point is that although elected officials fall very well on a left-right spectrum, many voters don't see it that way, or something. And of course, the majority did vote for a center-left candidate. No idea what the true lessons are. Maybe the true lessons are that you have no idea what is happening in this country. And people like me on the internet have repeatedly said, either we don't know, we'll see how it plays out, and you are wrong and the polls are wrong. When I watch CNN, and I rarely do, I can see just how insane these people have become. I have some friends who do nothing but watch flat earth and conspiracy YouTube, or at least they YouTube before YouTube purged all these channels. And boy, did it make them nuts. I mean it. When people go to YouTube, you can fall down this rabbit hole. What that really means is you might find some random topic and you watch a lot of it. You could become a fan of Batman. You could become a fan of whatever. You might become very political in a certain way. What they claimed, however, was that by watching political content, you became radicalized, which makes no sense because there's all different political opinions on YouTube. That idea was bunk. But certainly you could end up watching nothing but flat earth videos. And that idea I respect because I know people who did it. Watching ridiculous Michelle Obama is a man weird videos and stuff. And it's just so dumb. But what these people don't understand, these people in the media, that's you. That's you, Paul. You're one of these people who's reading nothing but CNN going, why am I wrong all the time? Because you might as well be watching flat earth YouTube. You know what I like about YouTube? You come to my channel and you'll hear me give a milquetoast opinion on what's happening. I voted for Trump. We'll see how things go in the future. I'd much prefer an independent left-leaning politician, but I want normalcy. I want honesty, and I want politicians to care about the people. I want peace in the Middle East. You can also listen to someone like David Pakman, for instance. Pakman is very anti-Trump, very pro-Democrat. You're going to get a different opinion. You can watch Jimmy Dore. Jimmy Dore, as my understanding, really doesn't like the Democrats, but he is a lefty. Jimmy's great. Or you can watch Steven Crowder. Guess what? All different opinions on one platform. But these people like Paul, they go into their New York ivory tower elite, meeting centers, I'm figuratively, their websites, their New York Times, their CNN, and they see the same recycled opinions back in their faces, swimming in their own refuse, thinking this is the truth. And they get proven wrong day after day after day after day, and they don't get it. But I thought Trump was racist. How is he doing so well among Hispanics and black voters? Maybe it's because you don't actually listen to what Trump was saying. I'll tell you what, you know what I'm happy with? Almost all of my complaints about everything have been the media. I think Donald Trump has done some things well. I've often complained about his behavior. And if Trump ends up losing, I believe it. Look, I see it every day, people saying they can't stand his attitude. And listen, if Trump ends up losing, I'll tell you this. If the GOP remains Republican and Trump is out, people were predicting this, that Americans are going to say, Trump, we've had enough of your behavior. You're fired. But we like the Republicans. And that may be what's happening, especially with the gains in the House. People seem to think they know everything, that people are going to go in and vote straight Republican down ticket. Now, I did Republican, but I'm sure there's some people who are like, I just won't vote for Trump. I've heard stories from people who said they voted third party but voted Republican, or they voted third party but then voted Democrat down ticket. Maybe what's really happening is regular people in this country are giving a big middle finger to the polarized tribes. Perhaps. And I'll tell you what, if it means Nancy Pelosi goes bye-bye, you know, she's as Speaker of the House, or she retires, she should, but I think she got reelected anyway. She always does. Then, you know what, man? I would be happy with just getting rid of the old guard establishment. I want to see politicians of the people win. I want to see people actually understand what it's like to just be a regular working American. I don't think either side really gets it. I think Trump gets it better than the Democrats, and the Democrats have become the party of the elites, as evidenced by Paul Krugman. But I think we have a long way to go. And I think if Trump does end up losing, it's a very close race, we'll see. It's not going to be some big voter fraud thing. There's certainly weird things going on that definitely need to be investigated. But I think look, man, I went to Glenn Beck's studio. I get in an Uber. I asked the driver, who are you voting for? He says Trump. But man, would I just wish he would stop, and I hear it all the time. And I'm like, I feel you, bro. I feel you, man. I talk to my friends and they say the same thing. Maybe what we need is someone with the policies of Trump who doesn't have the attitude of Trump. I understand the attitude can be considered a good thing by many people because he was fighting back. He was fighting for the people. But I guess we can only wait and see. Anyway, the point is, the media, they've truly been obliterated. Their credibility is in the gutter. They're admitting they have no idea what's happening anymore. They are the old guard. I believe in the next several years, we're going to see many more people, mostly independent speakers, maybe even channels like mine, rise up and take the place of those who have no idea what's going on because they forgot how to do Google searches. But I'll leave it there. Next segment is coming up tomorrow at 10 a.m. Thanks for hanging out. And we'll see what happens. Yeah. Adios.